The stars stretched endlessly in all directions. In the middle of this vast emptiness, a human ship floated quietly through space. The ship was called the Indomitable Spirit. It was not very big compared to military battleships, but it was powerful. The hull was made of strange metals that seemed to drink in the light around it. Inside, the crew went about their daily tasks, unaware that their peaceful journey was about to end. Commander Jiwan sat in the captain's chair, reviewing reports from the science team. They had been exploring this sector of space for 3 months now. So far, they had found nothing but empty planets and distant stars. Jiwan was a woman in her early 40s, with sharp eyes and steady hands. She had fought in Earth's unification, wars years ago, back when humans still fought among themselves. Those days were over now. Humanity had learned to work together, and now they reached for the stars. Lieutenant Minho stood at the tactical station, watching the sensor screens. He was younger than Jiwan, but just as experienced in his own way. His job was to keep the ship safe, to watch for dangers in the dark. Right now the screens showed nothing unusual, just stars and empty space. "Commander, we're approaching the next jump point," Minho said. His voice was calm and professional. Jiwan nodded. "Good. Prepare the hyperspace drive. Let's see what's on the other side." Down in the engine room, Engineer Hana monitored the ship's power systems. The antimatter reactor hummed softly, converting matter and antimatter into pure energy. It was beautiful technology, dangerous and powerful. Hana loved her work. She had designed parts of this reactor herself, making it more efficient than any reactor Earth had ever built before. The ship entered hyperspace smoothly. Space twisted around them, and for a moment they traveled faster than light itself. Then they emerged into normal space again, and everything changed. Alarms blared across the bridge. Minho's hands flew across his controls. "Commander, contact. Large vessel, 200,000 kilometers off our port side." Jiwan's relaxed posture vanished. She sat forward, alert and focused. "Show me." The main screen lit up with an image that made everyone on the bridge catch their breath. The alien ship was massive, easily 10 times the size of the Indomitable Spirit. Its hull was covered in sharp angles and weapon ports. It looked like something built for war and nothing else. "They're hailing us," said the communications officer. "Put them through," Jiwan ordered. The screen changed. Now it showed the bridge of the alien vessel. The creature sitting in the command chair was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished metal. Its eyes were cold and calculating. This was Admiral Tarek of the Velkari Empire, though Jiwan did not know that yet. "Unknown vessel." Tarek's voice came through the translator, mechanical and harsh. "You have entered Velkari space without permission. This is forbidden. You will surrender your ship immediately or you will be destroyed." Jiwan kept her face calm, but her mind raced. First contact with an alien species, and it was hostile. She had trained for this, but training was different from reality. "I am Commander Jiwan of the human vessel Indomitable Spirit. We come in peace. We did not know this space was claimed. We mean no harm." Tarek's expression did not change. "Humans. Another primitive species trying to reach the stars. Your peace means nothing. Surrender now." On the Velkari bridge, Science Officer Liz worked at her station. She was running scans of the human ship, following standard protocol. The Velkari had encountered hundreds of species over their long history. They always scanned new ships first. It helped them understand what they were dealing with. The first scan results came back normal. The ship was small. It had weapons, but nothing impressive. Liz began a deeper scan, one that would reveal the ship's power source and technology level. Then her screen started showing things that made no sense. "Admiral," she said, her voice uncertain, "I'm getting strange readings from the human vessel." Tarek barely glanced at her. "Strange how?" "Their power source. It's not fusion. It's not anything I recognize. The energy output is. Admiral, it's impossible. They're generating more power than our entire ship." Now Tarek looked at her. "Check your instruments. They must be malfunctioning." Liz ran the scan again. The results were the same. No malfunction, sir. The readings are accurate. They have a matter-antimatter reactor, running at 99.7% efficiency. Several officers on the Valkyrie bridge turned to look at her. Matter-antimatter reactions were theoretical. The Valkyrie had tried to build such reactors for centuries. They always failed. The technology was too dangerous, too unstable. What about their weapons? Tarek demanded. Liss's hands shook slightly as she brought up the weapons analysis. Railguns, magnetic acceleration weapons. But Admiral, the projectile velocity is 0.3 c. 0.3 c meant 30% of light speed. The Valkyrie's own weapons fired at 0.05 c and they considered that advanced. This must be wrong, Tarek said, but his voice had lost its certainty. There's more, sir. Their hull material. I can't identify it. It's absorbing our scans. And they're carrying nuclear weapons, but not standard warheads. These are shaped devices, designed to channel the explosion in a specific direction. The yield on each one could destroy a moon. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared at the small human ship on their screens. It looked so harmless, so tiny compared to their massive battle cruiser. Admiral, Liss said quietly. I accessed their ship classification. This vessel is designated as an exploration frigate. It's not a warship, it's a science vessel. Tarek felt something he had not felt in years. Fear. If this was what humans put on their exploration ships, what did their actual warships carry? On the indomitable Spirit, Jiwan watched the alien commander's face. She saw the moment when his expression changed from arrogance to uncertainty. She knew what was happening. They had finished their scans. Minho, she said softly, I think we're about to have a very interesting conversation. The alien ship had scanned them. They had looked at human technology and found something they did not expect, something that scared them. And Jiwan knew that fear could make people dangerous. She needed to be very careful about what happened next. In the cold darkness of space, two ships faced each other. One was massive and old, built by an empire that had ruled for thousands of years. The other was small and new, built by a species that had only reached the stars a few generations ago. But size did not matter anymore. Technology did not work the way the Valkyrie thought it did, and they were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. The tension on the bridge of the indomitable Spirit was thick enough to cut. Every member of G1's crew sat at their stations, hands ready on their controls, waiting for orders. They had all seen the size of the alien ship. They all knew they were outnumbered and outgunned, at least in theory. But G1 knew something the aliens did not. She knew that humanity had learned hard lessons over centuries of warfare. She knew that showing weakness invited attack, while showing strength could prevent bloodshed. It was a delicate balance. Minho, she said calmly, start our own scans. I want to know everything about that ship. Do not hide what we're doing. Let them see. Minho's fingers danced across his console, activating deep scan protocols. They'll definitely notice this. The indomitable Spirit scanners came alive. Unlike the Valkyrie's energy-based scanning technology, human scanners used quantum entanglement and gravitational wave analysis. They did not bounce signals off their target. They actually looked at the fabric of spacetime itself, seeing how mass and energy bent reality around them. On the Valkyrie bridge, alarms went off. Liss stared at her screen in disbelief. Admiral, they're scanning us, but our shields should block their sensors completely. Block them, Tarek ordered. I'm trying, sir. They're not using conventional scanning methods. Their sensors are seeing right through our shields like they're not even there. Tarek gripped the arms of his command chair. For 12,000 years, the Valkyrie Empire had been the dominant power in this region of space. They had superior shields, superior weapons, superior technology. Or so they had always believed. Back on the human ship, Minho read the scan results as they came in. Got them, Commander. Their main reactor is fusion-based, operating at about 60% efficiency. Weapons are particle beams and plasma torpedoes. Effective range approximately 100,000 kilometers. Shields are electromagnetic, designed to deflect energy weapons. Hull armor is titanium alloy, strong but brittle under kinetic impact. Weak points? Jiwan asked. Plenty. Their shield generators are exposed on the outer hull. Their weapons have slow tracking speed, and their reactor has a containment field that would collapse if hit with an electromagnetic pulse. Minho paused. Commander, we could disable this ship in under 30 seconds if we had to. Jiwan nodded slowly. Good to know. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. Open a channel to Dr. Yunji. Dr. Yunji appeared on a side screen. She was the ship's xenolinguistics expert, a woman who could decode alien languages faster than most people could learn to say hello. She had been listening to the Velkari communications since the moment they appeared. I've broken their encryption, Yunji said. Their language is mathematical in structure, which made it easier. Commander, I'm picking up internal communications from their ship. They're in shock. They never expected to find a species with technology more advanced than theirs. What are they saying about us? Jiwan asked. Yunji's expression was grim. Their science officer is trying to convince their admiral that we're dangerous, but there's someone else on their bridge, a political officer. He's pushing for immediate attack. He says their empire cannot show weakness to primitives. Jiwan made her decision. Minho, I want a demonstration. Nothing that will harm them, but something that will make them think twice. Understood. I have an idea. Minho worked his controls. Hana, can you give me a controlled plasma vent from the reactor? Down in engineering, Hana smiled. She understood immediately what Minho wanted. One impressive light show coming up. She adjusted the reactor's magnetic containment field. Excess plasma from the matter-antimatter reaction was normally vented into space as a dispersed cloud. But with careful control, it could be directed into a focused stream. The indomitable spirit's hull opened. A brilliant white-blue stream of superheated plasma shot out into space, stretching for thousands of kilometers. It was pure energy, hot enough to melt steel in microseconds. The stream curved gracefully through the void, a demonstration of both power and control. On the Velkari bridge, every screen lit up with warnings. Lys's voice was barely a whisper. Admiral, the energy they just vented is more than our reactor produces in an hour. They released it in 10 seconds. But the demonstration was not over. Minho activated the ship's point defense systems. Hundreds of small laser turrets emerged from the hull. They began tracking and acquiring target locks. Within seconds, every single missile and torpedo in the Velkari arsenal was being tracked. Red lights appeared all over the Velkari tactical display. Each light represented one of their weapons being targeted. Lys counted them. Every weapon they had was being tracked simultaneously. The humans had enough point defense capability to intercept every single shot they could fire. This is impossible, Tarek said. No ship can run that many targeting solutions at once. The computing power required would be enormous. Then they have enormous computing power, Lys replied. Sir, I recommend we stand down. We are severely outmatched. Councillor Varick, the political officer, stepped forward. He was older than Tarek, with scars across his metallic skin. We cannot show weakness. The Empire does not retreat. Jiwan watched all of this through Dr. Yunji's translations. She saw the power struggle on the alien bridge. She knew she had to end this before pride led to violence. Open a channel, she ordered. All frequencies. I want to make sure they hear this clearly. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Commander. Jiwan stood up from her chair. She looked directly at the screen showing the alien bridge. When she spoke, her voice was calm but firm. There was no anger in it, no fear, just absolute certainty. People of the Velkari Empire, we have scanned your vessel and determined you pose minimal threat to our ship. We come in peace. We did not know this space was claimed. We apologize for the intrusion. She paused. However, let me be very clear. We will defend ourselves if attacked. Stand down your weapons, or we will be forced to demonstrate why humanity does not build warships for exploration. Dr. Yunji had programmed the translation perfectly. The mathematical structure of the Velkari language carried layers of meaning. Jiwan's message was not just words. It was a precise statement of capability and intent. On the Velkari Bridge, silence fell. Every officer understood what they had just heard. This small ship, this exploration frigate, was not a warship. It was not designed for combat. It was designed for peaceful exploration, and yet it could destroy them easily. What kind of species built exploration ships with this much power? What would their actual military vessels be capable of? Tarek looked at Liz. She met his eyes and shook her head slowly. The meaning was clear. Do not fight, you will lose. But before Tarek could respond, Counselor Varric pushed past him toward the weapons console. Cowards! I will show these primitives the power of the Velkari Empire. His hand reached for the firing control. Liz lunged forward to stop him, but she was too far away. The counselor's finger came down on the button. A single plasma torpedo launched from the Velkari ship. It streaked through space toward the indomitable spirit. Everyone on both bridges watched it fly. Jiwan's expression did not change. She had been expecting this. Pride made people do stupid things. Minho, she said quietly. Intercept. One of the point defense lasers tracked the incoming torpedo. The laser fired once, a brief pulse of coherent light lasting less than a second. 50,000 kilometers from the human ship, the plasma torpedo exploded harmlessly. It never came close to being a threat. And now, Jiwan knew, it was time to show them what humanity was really capable of. The plasma torpedo exploded in a bright flash of light. The energy dissipated harmlessly into space. On the Velkari Bridge, Counselor Varric stared at the screen in disbelief. His demonstration of power had been swatted aside like an insect. Tarek grabbed the counselor by the arm. You fool! What have you done? His voice was filled with rage and fear. On the indomitable spirit, Jiwan remained calm. She had seen this coming. Arrogance always led to violence. It was an old lesson, one humanity had learned the hard way. Minho, she said. Response Protocol Delta, show them precision, not destruction. Minho nodded. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. Calculating firing solution. Loading one railgun round, fragmenting warhead. The indomitable spirit's main railgun powered up. Magnetic coils along the barrel began to charge. The weapon was simple in concept, but devastating in execution. It used powerful magnets to accelerate a metal projectile to incredible speeds. No explosions, no energy beams, just pure kinetic force firing. Minho said. The railgun fired. There was no flash, no sound in the vacuum of space. A metal slug the size of a fist left the barrel at 25% of light speed. It crossed the distance between the two ships in less than a second. Exactly 100 meters from the Velkari hull, the projectile fragmented. The solid slug broke apart into millions of tiny particles, each one moving at the same incredible speed. The cloud of metal dust hit the Velkari shields and spread across them like rain on a window. The shields lit up with brilliant light as they absorbed the kinetic energy. Sparks and electrical discharges danced across the surface of the alien ship. Alarms blared. The shields held, but barely. They flickered and faded, their generators overloaded by the impact. It was a light show, spectacular and harmless. But everyone on the Velkari Bridge understood the message. That projectile could have been solid. It could have punched through their shields and hull like paper. The humans had chosen not to kill them. Liz ran damage assessments. Shields at 15%. Main generators offline. Emergency backups engaged. She looked at Tarek. Sir, they demonstrated perfect precision. They hit us exactly where they intended, with exactly the force they chose. This was a warning. Tarek slumped in his command chair. The weight of reality crushed his pride. Send a message to Fleet Command. Request immediate reinforcements. Already done, Admiral, his communications officer reported. 6 battlecruisers are en route. They will arrive in approximately 1 hour. On the human ship, Navigator Soman was studying the local space. She had been analyzing the region since they arrived, mapping the area for her records. Now she noticed something odd. Commander, she said, I'm detecting multiple navigational markers in this region. Hyperspace buoys, shipping lane indicators, traffic control beacons. This isn't empty space. This is a major route. Jiwan frowned. Show me the distribution. Soman put the data on the main screen. The markers formed a clear pattern, a network of paths through space. And their current position was at a major intersection. This wasn't random, Jiwan said slowly. They were waiting for us. They knew we would emerge here. Minho checked his sensor logs. You're right. When we scanned them, I detected recent weapons discharges. Their guns were already hot. They've been here for hours, waiting. Dr. Yunji's voice came through the speakers. Commander, I'm picking up encoded transmissions from the alien ship. They're calling for reinforcements. Multiple ships, military class. How long until they arrive? Jiwan asked. Based on their communication patterns, less than an hour. Jiwan considered their options. They could run, jump to hyperspace and leave this region entirely. It would be the safe choice, but it would also show weakness. The Velkari would interpret retreat as fear. They might even follow humanity back to Earth, or they could stay and finish this confrontation properly. Sergeant Junho, she called. Status of the Marine Detachment. Junho's scarred face appeared on a side screen. Ready and waiting, Commander. Say the word and we'll repel any boarders. Stand by. I don't think boarding will be necessary, but stay alert. Jiwan turned to her crew. Listen carefully, all of you. We're about to be outnumbered. They're bringing enough firepower to destroy a small fleet, but I need you to trust me and trust this ship. We're going to stay right here and wait for them. Some of the younger crew members looked nervous. Minho simply nodded. He had served with Jiwan for years. He trusted her judgment. The hour passed slowly. On the Velkari bridge, Tarek watched the countdown to his fleet's arrival. He felt a mix of relief and shame. Relief that reinforcements were coming. Shame that he needed them at all. Liz continued to study the scan data from the human ship. The more she looked, the more disturbed she became. The technological differences were fundamental. The Velkari had developed their civilization along one path, focusing on energy manipulation and particle physics. The humans had gone a completely different direction. Admiral, she said, I've been analyzing their technology. Our approaches to science are completely different. We use energy shields to deflect attacks. They use material science to absorb and redistribute damage. We use directed energy weapons. They use kinetic projectiles. We rely on powerful reactors. They have mastered matter-antimatter reactions. What are you saying? Tarek asked. I'm saying our weapons are designed to fight enemies like us. Enemies who use shields and energy-based technology. But the humans don't fight like us. Our shields are nearly useless against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. And their armor is designed to handle energy weapons far more powerful than ours. Counselor Varick, now stripped of his authority and confined to a corner of the bridge, laughed bitterly. You're saying we're incompatible. We developed to counter threats we understood. They developed to counter something else entirely. What did they counter? Tarek asked. Liz pulled up the translation of the human commander's last message. Themselves, Admiral. They built these weapons to fight other humans. Their entire military doctrine is based on fighting enemies with similar technology. Enemies just as dangerous as they are. The implication hung in the air. The Velkari had spent 12,000 years as the dominant power in their region. They had never faced a true peer competitor, but humanity had spent centuries fighting itself. Every weapon they carried, every defense they built was designed to counter human ingenuity. Hyperspace signatures detected, the sensor officer announced. Multiple contacts. 6 vessels, battlecruiser class. Space rippled as the Velkari reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace. They formed a sphere around the indomitable spirit, surrounding the small human vessel. Each ship was massive, bristling with weapons, their shields already raised. On the lead battlecruiser, Fleet Admiral Dayun studied the tactical display. She saw the small human ship in the center of her formation. She saw Tarek's damaged vessel. And she made her assessment. All ships, she broadcast. Target the human vessel. On my mark, fire all weapons. Tarek's voice cut in. Admiral Dayun! I strongly recommend against engaging. Their capabilities far exceed. Silence, Tarek. You have been embarrassed by a single primitive ship. I will not be. They are surrounded. They have nowhere to run. Dayun's voice was cold and certain. Human vessel, you have 60 seconds to surrender. After that, you will be destroyed. On the bridge of the indomitable spirit, Jiwan listened to the ultimatum. She looked at her crew. They looked back at her, waiting for orders. Well, she said quietly, I suppose it's time to stop being polite. The 60 seconds felt like an eternity. On the 7 Velkari warships, weapons charged and targeting systems locked onto the indomitable spirit. Hundreds of particle beams and plasma torpedoes were ready to fire. The combined firepower could vaporize a small moon. Commander Jiwon stood at the center of her bridge, hands clasped behind her back. She looked calm, almost relaxed. But inside, her mind was racing through calculations and contingencies. She had one chance to end this without killing anyone. "Iris," she said quietly. "Authorization G1 77 Alpha. Combat protocols, full autonomy." A new voice filled the bridge. It was smooth and androgynous, neither male nor female. This was Iris, the ship's artificial intelligence. Until now, Iris had been running background operations, managing systems and providing data. But with combat authorization, Iris became something else entirely. "Authorization confirmed, Commander," Iris said. "Analyzing tactical situation. 7 hostile vessels, total armament, 342 weapon systems. Threat assessment minimal." Minho raised an eyebrow. Minimal threat from 7 battlecruisers? But he trusted Iris. The AI could process information millions of times faster than any human. If Iris said the threat was minimal, it was. "Iris," Jiwon said. "Objective, disable all hostile vessels without casualties. Show them what we're capable of, but do not kill anyone." "Understood." Calculating optimal engagement sequence. A pause of exactly 3 seconds. "Solution found. Estimated engagement time, 17 seconds. Estimated enemy casualties, 0. Estimated damage to indomitable spirit, 0. On Fleet Admiral Dayan's ship, the countdown reached 0. All ships fire." Space lit up with weapon discharges. Particle beams lanced out from 7 directions, all converging on the human ship. Plasma torpedoes streaked through the void, leaving trails of superheated gas. It was a devastating barrage, coordinated and overwhelming, and every single shot missed. The indomitable spirit moved in ways that violated everything the Velkari knew about physics. It did not accelerate smoothly. It did not follow predictable paths. Instead, it seemed to jump through space, appearing in places it should not be able to reach. This was compressed space-time technology, one of humanity's most advanced innovations. The ship created tiny bubbles of warped space around itself, allowing it to move short distances instantaneously. Each micro-jump was only a few hundred meters, but at these ranges, that was more than enough. "Weapon systems offline," Daeun's tactical officer reported. "They're jamming our targeting computers." But it was not jamming. Iris had simply calculated where every Velkari weapon would fire, then made sure the ship was somewhere else when the shots arrived. To the Velkari, it looked like impossible evasion. To Iris, it was basic mathematics. Now it was time for the humans to respond. The indomitable spirit's railguns fired in rapid succession. Not at the ships themselves, but at their weapons. Each shot was precisely calculated. Metal slugs moving at 25% of light speed struck particle beam emitters, missile launchers, and torpedo tubes. The weapons were not destroyed, just disabled. Bent barrels, collapsed chambers, shattered lenses. The entire process took 8 seconds. 342 weapons, all neutralized without a single casualty. But Iris was not done. The ship's laser batteries activated next. These were not weapons meant for ship-to-ship combat. They were point defense systems designed to intercept incoming missiles. But in Iris's hands, they became precision surgical tools. 7 laser pulses fired simultaneously. Each one struck a shield generator on a different Velkari ship. The shields did not collapse immediately. Instead, they began to fluctuate wildly, their power levels surging and dropping. The generators were overloaded, their circuits fried by precisely calibrated energy pulses. 5 seconds. The Velkari fleet's defenses were gone. Finally, Iris targeted the communication arrays. But instead of destroying them, the AI did something far more impressive. Using the ship's quantum communication system, Iris sent a tight beam transmission to each Velkari vessel. The transmission carried a simple message in perfect Velkari mathematical language, along with complete tactical data showing exactly how the engagement had unfolded. The message read, "Your weapons have been disabled. Your shields are offline. Your ships are intact. Your crews are unharmed. This demonstration is complete. Stand down, 4 seconds." The battle was over. Total engagement time, 17 seconds, exactly as Iris had predicted. On Fleet Admiral Daeun's bridge, chaos reigned. Every screen showed red warnings. Every system reported damage or failure, but when the damage control teams checked, they found something impossible. The damage was surgical, precise, deliberate. Admiral, her tactical officer said, his voice shaking. They hit 342 separate targets in 8 seconds. They overloaded 7 shield generators simultaneously, and they did it all while dodging our entire barrage. Daeun stared at the human ship on her screen. It hung in space, untouched, undamaged. It had fought 7 battlecruisers and 1 without breaking a sweat, and it had done so without killing anyone. That last detail was the most terrifying. The humans could have destroyed them all, but they had chosen mercy. On the indomitable Spirit, Ji-won allowed herself a small smile. Well done, Iris. Stand down. Combat protocols. Resume normal operations. Acknowledged, Commander. Combat protocols deactivated. Would you like me to open a communication channel to the Velkari fleet? Yes, all ships, all frequencies. The channel opened. Ji-won's image appeared on the main screen of every Velkari vessel in the area. She stood tall and confident, but her expression was not cruel or mocking. She looked almost sad. People of the Velkari Empire, she began. You scanned our ship. You analyzed our technology. You assumed you understood what humanity was capable of. You were wrong. She paused, letting that sink in. This vessel is an exploration frigate. It represents 0.003% of humanity's total military capability. We did not come to your space to conquer. We came to explore, to learn, to meet new civilizations and share knowledge. Another pause. Every Velkari officer listened in stunned silence. But you forced our hand. You threatened us. You attacked us. And so we were forced to demonstrate what we're truly capable of. I want you to understand something. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself. We built weapons to destroy other humans. We created defenses to stop human weapons. We nearly wiped ourselves out a dozen times. Ji-won's voice grew harder, more intense. When we finally unified, we made a choice. We would explore the cosmos peacefully, but we would never be weak. We would never be victims. We built our exploration ships strong enough to defend themselves against any threat. Because we know what happens when peaceful people are defenseless. She leaned forward, her eyes blazing with conviction. Today, we disabled your weapons and your shields. We could have destroyed your ships. We could have killed your crews, but we didn't. Do you know why? Because that's not who we are. We don't kill when we can disable. We don't destroy when we can demonstrate. We don't conquer when we can cooperate. Ji-won straightened up, her voice becoming calmer. You have a choice now. You can see us as enemies and continue this conflict, or you can see us as potential friends and begin a dialogue. Either way, understand this. Humanity will not be intimidated. We will not be conquered, and we will not compromise our principles no matter the cost. She looked directly at the camera, her gaze seeming to pierce through the screen. The next move is yours. Choose wisely. The channel closed. In the silence that followed, 7 Velkari battlecruisers drifted powerlessly in space, their crews contemplating a truth they had never imagined. They were not the apex predators of the galaxy. They had just met something far more dangerous, and that something had chosen to show them mercy. 3 hours passed in tense silence. The Velkari fleet remained where they were, disabled but not destroyed. Repair crews worked frantically to restore basic systems, but the weapons would take days to fix, and the shield generators would need to be completely replaced. On Admiral Tarek's ship, Liz studied the scan data for the 100th time. She was no longer looking at the human vessel as a threat. She was looking at it as a puzzle, a mystery to solve. How had humanity achieved so much in so little time? Science Officer Liz, a voice called. It was the Human Communications Officer. Commander Ji-won requests permission to send over a repair team. She says her engineers can help restore your systems. Tarek looked up from his tactical display. They want to help us? After we attacked them. Liz met his gaze. Admiral, I recommend we accept. We can learn more from direct interaction than from any number of scans. Tarek hesitated. His pride told him to refuse. But his practical mind knew that pride had already caused enough damage. Very well. Grant them permission. An hour later, a small shuttle launched from the indomitable Spirit. It carried Engineer Hana and 3 members of her team. They docked with Tarek's ship carefully, following proper safety protocols. When the airlock opened, Liz was waiting. She was surprised by what she saw. The humans were not tall or imposing. Hana was actually shorter than most Velkari, but there was something in their eyes, a confidence that came from knowledge rather than arrogance. "Science Officer Liss," Hana said, her translator rendering the words in perfect Velkari. "Thank you for allowing us aboard. We're here to help repair the damage our weapons caused." Liss led them to the damaged shield generator. Hana looked at it for a long moment, then smiled. "This is beautiful work. The design is elegant. You use crystalline matrices to focus the energy field, correct?" "Yes," Liss said, surprised. "How did you know?" "The energy signature. We don't use shields like this, but I can see the logic behind it. The problem is that your crystals are designed for steady-state energy absorption. When we hit them with a sudden pulse, the crystals shattered." Hana pulled out a small device from her toolkit. "I can't replace the crystals, but I can show you how to reinforce them so this doesn't happen again." For the next 2 hours, Hana and Liss worked side by side. Hana explained human engineering principles. Liss shared Velkari scientific theories. They found that despite their different approaches, they were both seeking the same thing, understanding of how the universe worked. "Your people," Liss said as they worked. "How did you advance so quickly? The Velkari Empire has existed for 12,000 years, but you went from primitive to spacefaring in less than 300. Hana was quiet for a moment. "We had motivation. For most of our history, humans fought each other. Different nations, different religions, different ideologies. We created terrible weapons. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, artificial plagues. We came very close to extinction. What changed?" Liss asked. "We realized we had 2 choices. We could keep fighting until we wiped ourselves out, or we could learn to work together. It wasn't easy. It took generations, but eventually we unified. And when we did, all that energy we had been using to fight each other, we redirected it toward reaching the stars." Hana smiled sadly. "Every technology on the Indomitable Spirit was originally developed for war. The antimatter reactor? We built it to power weapons platforms. The railguns? Ship-to-ship combat. The metamaterial armor? Defense against nuclear strikes. We learned to build these things because we were fighting ourselves, and humans are very good at finding ways to kill each other." Liss felt a chill. "So you brought your weapons to the stars?" "No," Hana said firmly. "We brought our knowledge. We brought our ability to defend ourselves. But we also brought something else. We brought the memory of what happens when power is used without wisdom. We remember our mistakes, and we're determined not to repeat them." While Hana worked with Liss, Commander Jiwon received an unexpected communication. It came from the Velkari homeworld, from someone called Supreme Archon Kellis. This was the leader of the entire Velkari Empire. "Commander Jiwon," Kelly said. He was old, his metallic skin etched with countless fine lines. "I have reviewed the reports from this encounter. I wish to speak with you directly if you are willing." "I'm listening, Supreme Archon," Jiwon replied. "My fleet attacked you without provocation. They assumed you were weak because you were unknown. This was a grave error and I apologize. But I must ask, what do you want from us? What are your intentions?" Jiwon considered her words carefully. "We want nothing from you, Supreme Archon. We came here by accident. We're explorers, not conquerors. Our mission is to learn about the galaxy and the civilizations that inhabit it. And if we ask you to leave and never return, we would respect that request," Jiwon said. "But I think it would be a mistake. Not for us, for you. The galaxy is vast. There are countless other species out there. Some may be peaceful. Others may not be. If you close yourselves off from new ideas and new friends, you will stagnate." Kellis was silent for a long moment. "You speak wisely, but you must understand, the Velkari Empire has existed for millennia. We have built our civilization on certain principles. One of those principles is superiority. We have always been the strongest, the most advanced. Your presence challenges that. Being the strongest and being the most advanced are not the same thing," Jiwon said gently. "Strength without wisdom leads to tyranny. Advancement without compassion leads to cruelty. True superiority comes from knowing when to use your power and when to show restraint. You speak of restraint, yet you disabled 7 battlecruisers in 17 seconds. Exactly. We could have destroyed them. We chose not to. That choice is the difference between a warrior and a murderer." Kelly studied Jiwon's face on his screen. He saw sincerity there and something else. sadness. This human commander had seen war. She knew its cost. She was not speaking from theory but from experience. "I would like to propose a meeting," Kelly said. "Not between our militaries but between our peoples. Send a diplomatic envoy to our homeworld. Let us talk, learn about each other. Perhaps we can find common ground." Jiwon smiled. "I would be honored, Supreme Archon. But I think the first meeting should be out here, in neutral space. It would be more comfortable for both sides." "Agreed. I will send Ambassador Yuna. She is our finest diplomat." Jiwon paused. "Actually, Supreme Archon, humanity also has an ambassador named Yuna. What an interesting coincidence." For the first time, Kelly smiled. Perhaps it is a sign. Perhaps our peoples are not so different after all. 2 weeks later, formal first contact protocols were established. The human ambassador Yuna arrived on a small diplomatic vessel. She met with Velkari representatives in a neutral location, a space station built specifically for the purpose. Admiral Tarek, now serving as military liaison, stood beside Science Officer Liss as they watched the proceedings. Hana was there too, along with Minho and several other members of the human crew. "Do you think this will work?" Tarek asked Hana. "Can our peoples truly cooperate?" Hana shrugged. "I don't know. But I know that trying is better than fighting, and learning is better than assuming we already know everything." Liss nodded. "When I first scanned your ship, I thought I understood what I was seeing. I was wrong. I had to set aside my assumptions and actually learn. It was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. That's all we ask," Hana said. "Not submission. Not worship. Just the willingness to learn and grow together." Far away, the indomitable spirit prepared to continue its mission. Commander Jiwon stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. There was so much more to explore, so much more to learn, and now humanity had its first true alien friends. "Course laid in, Commander," Navigator Soman reported. "Ready to jump on your command," Jiwon smiled. "Then let's go. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting for us." The ship's engines hummed to life. Space twisted and warped, and the indomitable spirit jumped into hyperspace, leaving behind a changed Velkari empire. The Velkari had scanned a human warship. They had discovered technology beyond their understanding. They had attacked and been defeated. But in the end, they had learned the most important lesson of all. True strength was not about domination. It was about the wisdom to know when to fight and when to extend a hand in friendship. And humanity, despite their terrible weapons and advanced technology, had chosen friendship. It would take time for the Velkari Empire to change. 12,000 years of superiority could not be undone overnight. But the seeds had been planted. And sometimes that was enough. In the cold vastness of space, two civilizations had met. One old and proud, the other young and fierce. They had come close to destroying each other. But instead they had chosen a different path, and that choice made all the difference.